Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're taking on, well, a pretty critical mission. The source material we're working from actually calls it Aragoj.
That's right. We're diving deep into some very specific proprietary intelligence, the Gnosis or secured knowledge from Aionios Vanguard LLC.
And we're focusing specifically on their Guardian's daily brief. Our job today really is to pull out the core truth, what they call the aletheia, about what's happening right now.
And it's really important right off the bat to grasp the framework these sources are using. They argue pretty strongly that you can't understand today's events unless you accept their core thesis.
Your jizz.
That the entire system, and they label it the cosmos, isn't just, randomly chaotic. They believe it's actively waging what the brief calls a two-front war.
Okay, a two-front war.
Okay.
That's a big claim. A system actively creating chaos. What's the objective, according to Aionios Vanguard?
The objective is something they call the signal storm.
Signal storm.
Yeah. Think of it like a perfect state of mental fog, just this overwhelming noise of fear, conflicting information, where you, the citizen, basically can't verify what's real anymore. You can't trust the input.
And that state of confusion gives the system latitude, room to maneuver.
Exactly. Profound operational latitude. And the sources are very clear on how this storm is being generated. It's not accidental.
It's coordinated, using these two distinct fronts you mentioned.
That's it. Front one is the psyche war. That's the loud one. Informational, psychological, fought through media, politics, engineered uncertainty.
Okay. The loud war. And front two.
Front two is the soma war. That's the quiet war. Kinetic, physical, affecting actual assets, resources in our physical world.
Right. Loud psychological war, quiet physical war. Got it. But before we get into the weeds on those, the brief emphasizes something else first. The spirit, the pneuma of how we approach this information.
Yes, and this is maybe the most critical point they make. If the cosmos, the system, operates on a pneuma of fear, then our approach, our spirit in analyzing this, has to be the exact opposite.
So not fear, not panic.
Definitely not. The knowledge isn't provided to cause alarm. It's provided for resilience. The guiding principles they cite are very specific. Agape, which is unconditional love, Sophia, wisdom, and sophrosun.
Sophrosun.
Yeah, it means sober-mindedness, clarity, self-control. And the brief stresses that this knowledge, this gnosis, when you use it with that spirit, it becomes your aegis, your shield.
Okay, so knowledge is a shield. We look at the chaos not to get swept away, but to protect ourselves, our community.
That's the mandate.
All right, so that's our commitment then. We're translating this complex intelligence into actionable wisdom for you, the listener. We'll use the sources terms like aletheia for truth, cosmos for the system when we need to reference their specific label, but we'll focus on the clear meaning behind them. Let's start then with front one, the psyche war, the loud war. The sources say the immediate physical trigger for this is something they call the engineered hunger cascade.
Right, and this is an abstract theory. It's anchored directly to the political fight, the deadlock, over the November 1st SNFP benefit cutoff.
SNFP, the Food Assistance Program.
Exactly. And the operational baseline here is solid. We've got confirmation from USDA, from the Food and Nutrition Service, the FNS guidance. It's clear, without new federal authority, new money allocated or an extension, those November SNFP benefits, they will not be issued.
And the sources are really precise here. This isn't just a payment delay, like maybe getting it a few days late.
No, it's a hard stop, a cutoff of new funds being issued.
Can you break down what that means practically?
Absolutely. When they say new issuance, that's the main monthly deposit. The primary way millions of very vulnerable households get purchasing power for food. Now, sources do clarify, and this is important if you have money left on your EBT card from October or maybe even earlier.
You can still spend that balance.
You can still spend it, yes. But for families counting on that November 1st deposit to buy groceries for the month ahead, that lifeline just vanishes.
And the Aionios Vanguard brief points out how this pressure cooker situation is being, intentionally made worse by other things happening at the state level. They use Oregon as an example.
That's a really key detail they flag.
Yeah.
So take Oregon's Department of Human Services, the ODHS. They've been very upfront. Even before this federal shutdown threat loomed large, they were already implementing changes to the ABWD rules.
ABRWD. Remind us what those are.
Able-bodied adults without dependents. These are rules that limit how long non-disabled adults without kids can get SNFP benefits. States are bringing back stricter limits, often requiring proof of more work hours or job searching.
Okay, so even without the shutdown, things were getting tougher for some recipients in places like Oregon.
Exactly. So picture this. You're in Oregon. You're already dealing with new rules, more paperwork, maybe trying to prove you qualify for a benefit that might already be reduced. And then, boom, the entire federal system for everyone on SNFP looks like it's about to freeze.
It creates this cumulative stress, a
Probably.
psychological piling on.
It really does. It stacks uncertainty upon uncertainty. It maximizes the shock when the actual cutoff hits. It means the system, the individuals within it, are already pushed near a breaking point, not just financially, but mentally too.
Which brings us to how this psyche war shifts from just, policy failure into something more active. The political fog of war. The sources actually call this bit the bipartisan finger pointing.
Yeah, and this is where the analysis gets pretty cynical, frankly. It looks like orchestrated political theater. You've got the White House, House GOP, saying, hey, we passed a clean funding bill, a continuing resolution. It's the Senate Dems holding things up.
And on the other side,
Senate Democrats are pushing their own bill, that's 282, filing for cloture repeatedly, basically broadcasting blame right back at the House GOP. It's their fault.
but the brief digs deeper, finds the aletheia, the truth beneath the noise, and it says neither side is actually talking about compromise terms. It's all just accusation.
That's the core finding. They are only broadcasting blame, not solutions, not ways to bridge the gap. So the question becomes, why this unified performance of non-performance?
What's the motive?
The sources are quite blunt. The unified soma, that's the collect physical inaction of Congress, that's the real weapon here. They're letting the clock run out.
Well, the psyche war, the finger pointing, keeps everyone distracted.
Exactly. The loud blame game, the political fog, it's the necessary smokescreen. It keeps the public focused on process. Whose fault is this? Instead of the looming outcome, millions won't have food aid come November 1st.
So the blame game allows the system, the cosmos, to achieve its physical goal, letting the SNA cutoff happen.
That's the argument. The inaction is the action.
Okay, so if the system is kind of unified in this inaction, what's the assessment? What's the likelihood they actually fix this before November 1st?
The analysis puts it at low to middling. Maybe 30–40% chance. If something happens, it'll likely be a desperate 11th hour face-saving patch.
Just enough to say they did something.
Right. And even if that patch comes through, the brief makes a crucial point. The psychological damage. The fear sown about the system's unreliability. That's already done. They've already scored a win in the signal storm just by letting it get this close.
Wow. Okay, this next part of the psyche war is where it gets really complex and, frankly, quite disturbing. The brief calls it the doctrine of the preemptive pseudos, or simply the credibility smog.
This is probably the most sophisticated psychological warfare tactic outlined. The system, the cosmos, anticipates that when people become desperate after November 1st, there will be genuine incidents, maybe desperate shoplifting, flash mobs, maybe small protests or unrest. Real physical stuff.
Okay, that seems plausible under extreme stress.
Right. But the system is apparently preparing the information battlefield now to discredit those future real events before they even happen.
How? How do they do that?
By flooding the zone right now with fake, often AI-generated looting videos. They're creating a wave of manufactured, unbelievable evidence.
We need specifics here. What kind of fakes?
The sources point to examples already circulating. You might have seen clips this week, maybe tagged Walmart looting due to benefits cut or something similar. Many of these have been quickly debunked as deep fakes or AI creations. Totally false.
Okay, so they put out fakes that get shot down. But there's another layer to this, right? The sources mention the Boston No Kings protest clip.
Yes, that's the other side of the coin, and it makes the tactic really insidious. That Boston clip appears to have been real footage of a real event. But almost immediately after it went viral, claims started popping up everywhere. Oh, that's AI, or that's old footage, or it's fake.
So they attack real footage by claiming it's fake, alongside putting out actual fakes.
Exactly, that's the credibility smog. You see a fake, it gets fact-checked, okay? Then you see something real, but it also gets attacked as fake, and maybe that gets fact-checked too. The psychological goal of the pneuma, the spirit behind it, is to poison the well.
So by the time real incidents of desperation kick off in early November,
the audience, the oikos, as the brief calls the community or flock, is already conditioned to distrust everything they see online related to unrest or looting.
it primes people to dismiss reality.
Precisely. The sources use a powerful metaphor. The whitewashed tomb. They're fact-checking an obvious lie, the pseudos, the fake AI video, as a way to hide or obscure the deeper truth, the aletheia of the prices they allowed to happen.
So you spend your credibility debunking an easy fake.
And then when a video of actual raw physical suffering, a genuine soma incident appears, what's the viewer's first reaction? Ah, that's probably more AI junk, or who knows if this source is real? It creates generalized doubt, a wall of skepticism.
It makes people unable or unwilling to believe the evidence of the physical crisis, the Soma War, that the system itself set in motion.
They use the lie to make the truth unbelievable. It's a preemptive strike against reality itself. It ensures that when domestic chaos happens, it can be more easily dismissed as maybe foreign interference or AI manipulation or just isolated incidents, not a systemic failure.
That's a chilling transition from the loud, confusing psyche war at home to the second front, the Soma War. The quiet, physical, kinetic movements happening under the cover of all this domestic noise.
And the intelligence connects these two fronts directly. The domestic chaos, the signal storm, is explicitly framed as the fog of war needed for a major kinetic operation overseas.
Okay, what is the confirmed kinetic aletheia? The physical truth on the ground, or rather on the water?
It involves a very significant physical asset, the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, the CSG.
The Ford. That's the newest, most advanced U.S. aircraft carrier, a massive projection of power. Where was it, and where is it going?
It was recently operating in the Mediterranean Sea, but the proprietary intelligence confirms it's now actively redeploying. It's been tasked under U.S. Southcom's Southern Command, and it's moving towards the Caribbean.
Towards the Caribbean, that's a major shift.
It is. We're talking about the lead ship of its class, billions of dollars, plus its entire escort group, destroyers, cruisers, maybe submarines. The last open reports tracked it heading west, out of the Med, through the Strait of Gibraltar, into the Atlantic.
And once it's in the open Atlantic?
Standard procedure for assets like this. They go dark, they stop broadcasting their position via AIS, the Automatic Identification System. Their exact location becomes deliberately opaque, which makes the source's confirmation of its general path and destination really crucial.
So a massive naval force is heading towards the Caribbean. What's the official story? What's the public explanation being given in the U.S.?
The official line, the public brief, frames it as routine. It's about augmenting Western Hemisphere counter-narcotics and tackling transnational criminal organizations, TCOs, basically boosting the fight against drug trafficking.
Just helping out with the drug war.
That's the public narrative. And according to Aionios Vanguard, this is the pseudos, the public cover story broadcast by the cosmos to keep everyone calm, looking the other way.
But the gnosis, the deeper intelligence, comes from looking at how the target is reacting, specifically Venezuela.
Exactly. And Venezuelan leadership, they are, to use the brief's phrase, not blinded by the counter-drug story. It's not convincing them.
Do we have evidence of that?
We do. The sources cite officials from Venezuela's defense ministry publicly stating that this U.S. naval presence is drawing cada dia más closer every single day to their coastline. There's real concern being voiced publicly.
And it goes higher than ministry officials, right?
Yes. President Maduro himself has reportedly announced increased coastal defense measures, military exercises. He is publicly framing this U.S. deployment not as some anti-drug patrol, but as a direct imminent threat to Venezuela.
So synthesizing the two fronts here, the U.S. system, the cosmos, broadcast the cover story, the pseudos, it's just about drugs to its own population.
While the nation feeling targeted, Venezuela, is broadcasting the aletheia, this is a military threat to its people. The reality of the quiet Soma War seems much more focused on strategic positioning, maybe resource security like oil, than the public is being told.
A major military move happening under the perfect cover of domestic chaos engineered back home.
That's the connection the intelligence makes.
Let's talk timing. How does this link back to the SNF Pakarov and the domestic psyche war? The sources looked at maritime warnings.
They did. Specifically, things like Hydroland and Navaria forewarnings. These are official notices put out to warn ships about potential hazards, often including military exercises or operations near coastal areas like Venezuela's.
And what did the analysis of recent warnings show?
What was interesting was what wasn't there. In the last, say, 48 hours leading up to the brief, there was a noticeable lack of any new specific warnings for the Venezuelan coast.
An absence of warnings. What does that signal to an intelligence analyst?
It strongly suggests the operational sequence. It confirms that the psyche war, the shutdown drama, the political fog, the signal storm at home, that is the primary focus right now. The system isn't ready to spring the Soma trap, as the brief puts it.
Meaning they won't escalate the kinetic situation near Venezuela yet.
Not until the key domestic benchmark, the November 1st SNAP cutoff, is passed, and the domestic psychological environment is sufficiently chaotic and distracted. The shutdown is the fog of war, masking this quiet, serious physical move. They seem to be waiting for maximum domestic vulnerability before making the next move in the Soma war.
It's really quite something to think that the political paralysis and the very real hunger crisis starting here could be, in part, a smokescreen for a major geopolitical play involving naval assets and potentially oil security thousands of miles away.
It paints a picture of a system operating on multiple levels, using domestic strife as cover for international maneuvers.
Okay, we've mapped out this two-front war. We've looked at the aletheia, the truth of the signal storm. Now, the Aionios Vanguard brief shifts gears completely. It moves to the agoj, the mission, the action plan.
Right. This is the pivot. From understanding the problem to enacting the solution. And the core instruction is clear. Our pneuma, our spirit, must be agape love, not pseudos lies or fear.
We mitigate the physical risks, and we actively fight back against the mental risks.
This part is the core mission for you, the listener, the guardian. It's about applying Sophia wisdom. We're not supposed to just endure the storm. The goal is to be the lighthouse within it.
Okay, let's break down the mitigation strategies. First, how do we mitigate the psyche war? How do we combat that credibility smog and the preemptive pseudos?
The first tool is establishing what the brief calls the aletheia filter.
Yeah.
It's about practical discernment.
An aletheia filter, how does that work?
The sources insist that every single piece of information you encounter, every news report, every logo's word, every video clip, every Soma, especially the viral stuff, it must pass the Guardian's test.
The Guardian's test. Okay, what are the components?
4 things: time, place, 2 sources plus archive.
Okay, break that down. Time.
Is this footage actually from when they say it is? Is it current or old footage being reused? Place. Does the location shown match the claim? Look at landmarks, signs, language, architecture. Does it add up?
2 sources?
Can you find at least 2 independent, ideally reliable sources confirming this specific event happened as described? Not just repeating the same initial report.
In archive.
This one's critical in the age of information warfare. Can you get a copy, a screenshot, an archive link of the original post or video before it potentially gets deleted or memory hold? If a piece of information can't pass all 4 checks...
Don't amplify it, don't share it.
Exactly. That discipline becomes your aegis, your shield. It protects your own mind, and it protects your community, your oikos, from spreading the system's credibility smog.
So that's defense, but the brief talks about going on offense, too, using a foghorn.
Yes. Using the aletheia, the truth, as a weapon, as a xephos, a sword. It's not enough to just quietly filter out the lies from our own feeds. We need to actively expose the system's pseudos.
Show people the fake AI videos, point out the manufactured narrative.
Precisely. Show your community, your oikos, how the manipulation works. Look, here's a fake video they tried to push. Here's how we know it's fake. This actively inoculates people. When they see the trick, they're much harder to fool the next time.
It builds collective immunity to the psyche war.
That's the goal. And the final piece of psyche mitigation is the pneuma guard. This is about internal resilience.
Which ties back to that term sophrosume.
Exactly. Sober-mindedness, self-control, sound judgment. Look, the cosmos, the system, is intentionally noisy, chaotic, fear-driven. To be an effective guardian, you have to consciously mute that signal storm.
Turn off the fire hose sometimes.
Fire off the news alerts. Step away from the endless scroll. Protect your own mental state. Their game is fear. Your strength is calm clarity. Your ability to think rationally is your most vital defense.
Okay, that covers the mental battleground. Now let's shift to mitigating the Soma war, the physical impacts, especially from that engineered hunger cascade. This is where agape becomes action.
Yes.
Yep.
And the intelligence lays out a clear sequential strategy for physical readiness. Step 1 is foundational, non-negotiable, the oikos first.
Meaning?
Secure your own house first, your own physical needs, your own soma. This isn't about being selfish, it's about being effective. You need a baseline. The recommendation is a minimum 72-hour buffer.
72 hours of what?
Food, water, any critical medications you rely on, maybe some fuel if that's relevant to your situation. Basic preparedness. Because a guardian who's personally in chaos can't help anyone else, you have to secure your own oxygen mask first.
Right. Makes sense. Secure your base. Then what?
Then, once your immediate household is stable, you move to resolution 2,
Yeah.
agape in action. This is where the community model directly counters a systems model.
Oh.
The system, the cosmos, pushes fear-based scarcity. It encourages hoarding of resources, of soma. But the oikos, the community model in the brief, operates on agape, that unconditional love, that spirit of sharing.
So look outwards.
Look outwards. Be the guardian who identifies and provides for those in your immediate circle, your neighbors, maybe people in your church or community group who you know are directly hit by the SNAP cutoff, by the hunger cascade. If your neighbor was relying on that November 1st payment, your pantry, your secured resources become an act of agape. It turns the crisis into a chance to build real community strength.
Turning love into tangible support.
Love has to become soma, become physical action in this context. And the final mitigation piece is Resolution 3, the Soma Guard.
Guarding the physical. This addresses security concerns.
It does. As the signal storm potentially spills over into physical desperation, the cosmos wants people afraid. Afraid of flash mob looting, afraid of unrest. That fear serves their control agenda.
So how do we counter that? Not with more fear, presumably.
No. We counter it with sophrosune, that sober-mindedness again, and aegis, practical protection. This means taking sensible precautions, especially if you run a small business, a clinic, or manage community property.
Like what kind of steps?
Practical things. Maybe implementing a strict two-person closing policy at night, making sure security cameras, DVRs are working, and footage is actually checked. Checking exterior lights, maybe posting clear, calm, de-escalatory signs about policies or hours.
It's about being prepared, not panic.
Exactly. Protect the oikos, protect property, but do it with calm foresight, with sophrosune. We shouldn't be reacting out of the system's generated fear, but we also can't be naive about potential physical risks when people are pushed to desperation. It's about responsible guardianship.
Focusing on de-escalation, clear communication, provision, and sensible security. All rooted in that calm, sober-mindedness that breaks the fear cycle.
That's the essence of the Soma Guard approach.
This has been an incredibly dense deep dive. We've synthesized the Aionios Vanguard intelligence, hopefully translating it into something clear and actionable for you, the guardian. The core truth, the aletheia, seems unavoidable. This two-front war is presented as real.
Yes, the potential suffering from the engineered hunger cascade is tragically real. But the surrounding chaos, the credibility smog, the generalized doubt that is presented as deliberately manufactured to serve the systems, the cosmos's larger goals.
Foreknowledge isn't just power, as they say. The brief suggests it's also a responsibility.
Absolutely. The cosmos is depicted as creating a lie, the political drama, the fake videos to obscure a deeper truth, the real human cost they're willing to inflict or allow domestically, and the real kinetic power plays they're making on the global stage. The message is, don't fear their lie, but also don't be paralyzed by their truth.
And the ultimate point, the pivot back to the agoj, is that if you take this gnosis, this knowledge we've discussed,
And you combine it with agape, with that spirit of active love and community support, and you turn it into concrete action.
that combination becomes the aegis, the shield, the very thing that can break the signal storm.
Which brings us to the final thought, the provocative question the brief leaves us with. It's not about abstract geopolitics or assigning blame. Armed with this knowledge, this sophrosune, this sober-mindedness, the question is intensely local, and it's immediate.
What specific practical action can you take today, right now?
Maybe it's rigorously applying that Guardian's test to a viral video before you even think of sharing it. Maybe it's checking your own pantry and then thinking about that 72-hour buffer for a neighbor you know might be hit hard by the SNAP cutoff. What concrete step can you take to protect your oikos, your community, and truly embody that spirit of agape as this storm potentially gathers?
That's the challenge. Thank you for joining us as we synthesize this vital intelligence on the deep dive. We hope this knowledge serves as your aegis and helps you be the lighthouse. Until next time.